Hi, this is Martin Schulman from the Swedish death metal darkness band Demonical, and you are listening to The Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International.
Martin, thank you very much for taking time out for this interview. I'd like to welcome you to the Metal Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
This is your home. Martin, I want to take the time, with your permission, to talk about you being part of this great band I love, as well as Demonical. I'm talking about Centinex, this death metal band from Avesta, Dalarna, Sweden. For your new fans and others, Martin, how did you decide to become a metal musician?
I have been listening to metal since like the mid-80s. I discovered metal when I was a kid, like around the age of 12, 13 something. I started out with listening to like regular metal, hard rock, all these Kiss, Wasp, Twisted Sister, all these bands. And then I was constantly looking for harder and harder bands to listen to, like during the 80s. So from those regular metal bands, I went into like German thrash metal around 87, 88 there. And then like Motorhead, Venom, and all these bands, like constantly looking for harder and harder bands. And then in the late 80s, very early 90s, when the death metal movement started, to rise, I got hooked into death metal, and soon after that, I decided that I also wanted to play death metal. So then I formed a band with my friends, and which then led to forming Centinex. I did play some punk rock when I was like really young, but then, Centinex was the real band, yeah.
Martin, how are things going with Centinex? I mean, talking about Centinex, how things are going with the new album, Death in Pieces, released last May 29th, 2020. There's also via this great Polish record, Agonia Records.
Yeah, it's going good. We recorded the album like almost a year ago, like in early 2020. And before that, we had a small break with Centinex for like 3 years or something. Yeah, basically because I was so busy with Demonical, so I had to focus on that. But like in 2019, I decided that I want to do a new Centinex album, but at the same time, it was also decided that there would be a new lineup in Centinex, because most of the members in Centinex, they were also playing Demonical. So I wanted to keep those two bands apart. So I decided to have like a new lineup in Centinex. So then, I got the new lineup like a year ago, and then we recorded the album, and it was released in May. And then the fucking COVID-19 thing came. I mean, we had a lot of shows, festivals lined up in support of the release, but everything got cancelled. So since the album was released, not much has happened in the Centinex camp, unfortunately. Yeah, we will hopefully do some shows next year. But I'm also working on new material for Centinex, because this whole thing with the fucking plague and not able to do any shows has also, like, the only positive thing, there has been a lot of time to write. As soon as the Demonical album was recorded, I started working on Centinex tracks. Maybe we'll record like a new Centinex album early next year or something. We'll see.
That's very great to hear. Martin, but Death in Peace, this Centinex album, I mean, even though this pandemic, but how are the sales going and the distribution?
Well, about sales, I don't know really, because I haven't it has only been out for a few months. I haven't got any sales figures from the label. The reactions and reviews and everything have been good. So I think it's doing pretty well. And Agonia, they have a really good distribution. So it should be available everywhere. As I said, I mean, this whole thing with the COVID thing has really put all the plans we had for Centinex and the album and the support of the album, everything was cancelled or postponed. So there's been a little bit of limbo with everything, which is really sad.
So really disappointed. I mean, when things start back to normal, I hope you can still promote this album in a decent, proper way that it deserves to be promoted.
Yeah, we had some festivals lined up for past summer, 2020, but most of them have been postponed to 2021. So at least we will do some shows next year. But the thing was that, we had all these summer festivals for last summer already booked when we started to record the album. So we were a little bit in a hurry to have it finished and to have it released before the summer because of all the shows and festivals. But then, there in March, April, when this fucking Corona thing hit the world, then if we would have knew it in advance, that all the shows would have been cancelled. Then we could have worked on the album a little bit more, and because we felt a small like pressure and a small rush to have it done. So in hindsight, it would have been better. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, we didn't know that the corona would hit, but it's really sad that it turned out this way.
Martin, to continue this interview, I like to congratulate you with the band's new album I'm talking about now, Demonical World Domination. Tell us how come you decided on the album title, and talking about this pandemic, how has it been working on this release in the middle of this COVID?
About the album title, I'm usually a fan of album titles that are like easy to remember and easy to spell and describes the band and the album in a rather good way. I mean, for the last Demonical album, it was Chaos Manifesto, this Word Domination. They're like hard-hitting titles. You remember them quite easily, so that's a good thing. The title didn't have anything to do with the plague in the world or anything like that, but I had a few ideas for the title, and then I decided that Word Domination would be a good one. And the pandemic. Every country had their different ways of handling and approaching the pandemic. Sweden, as you maybe know, Sweden has had a quite tolerant towards this whole thing. There hasn't been any real lockdowns or anything. They have only given like recommendations to people to keep social distancing and wash your hands and all this shit. So for us, I mean, we recorded the album in a couple of different studios, all of them located in small cities in the countryside where you didn't hardly notice that there was anything like going on. So the situation didn't really affect us during the album recording or anything. Yeah, it has been affecting us with shows and tours and everything. But for the actual recording, we didn't like really notice anything about the COVID.
Okay, very great. Yes, Demonical was found in March 2006 by former Centinex members Johan Jansson, guitarist, vocals, Martin Schulman, bassist, and Ronnie Bergerståhl, drummer, with the mission to return to the roots of death metal and deliver a sheer dose of darkness and brutality. Martin, when or who came with the brilliant idea to create Demonical? And yes, how about the band name? Where did you get it from?
Yeah, it was my idea to create Demonical. And the reasons for creating Demonical or forming the band were simply that I got tired of the situation with Centinex back then, because I felt that Centinex had reached some kind of end point where we couldn't get any further. I wasn't satisfied with how the music in Centinex had turned out. I felt that with the last album we did was a good one, but I felt that we didn't really get the support from the record label that we deserved, or what the album deserved. So there were all these kind of small things. Yeah, it just made me feel that this is it, that I want to form a new band which would go back more to the death metal roots and like we start all over again. So I was really like planning everything with the Demonical for several months. So the same day I officially announced that Centinex will be like buried or put on ice or whatever, the same day I announced Demonical. And because of two of the members who joined me in Demonical, Ronnie and Johan, they were also in Centinex at that time. And that together with the thing that I announced the birth of Demonical on the same day I announced the death of Centinex, that's the reason why many people thought that like Demonical is the same band as Centinex, just with a different name. But that's like not, because still Demonical was so musically so different what Centinex was back then.
To not mistake anybody, I mean, for people to not confuse, when you was talking about the time that you believe that the album was not properly promoted, you're talking about back then in 2005, not to do with the last album of Centinex. You're talking about the 2005 World Declensions?
Yeah, exactly. This was in 2005. Because just make a very long story short, I started Centinex from 1990 to 2006. Then in 2006, I started Demonical. And then again in 2014, I recreated Centinex again with a new lineup. So Centinex was basically put on ice, or whatever you want to call it, between 2006 and 2014. And during that time I was doing Demonical, and from 2014 and forward I have been doing both bands. So that's like both things.
Okay, over the years, Demonical have released outstanding albums. In 2007, Servants of the Unlight. In 2009, Hellsworn. In 2011, Death Infernal. In 2013, Darkness Unbound. And the last in 2018, Chaos Manifesto. Not to forget Demo ZPs and Split, and have a great musician along its lineup like Johan Jansson, Daniel Gustafsson, Frederik Wittigs, Swerker Whitgren, Amir Batar, Alexander Hoekboom, Pablo Magallanes, Kenneth Englund, and as well live members. And the band have played several 100 shows all over Europe, North America, and Russia. The band has done several tours, both as headlining support, all tons of festivals, both small and huge one, always delivering a high quality brutality of finest kind. The band will celebrate its 15 years since its formation, Martin, this coming 2021. Besides the new album, what are the plans in celebration of the band's 15 years? And how has those years been?
Well, actually, I haven't even thought that it's the 15th anniversary next year. You mentioned it now, but I haven't given it any thought. I don't know if we are going to celebrate it in any way. At least I don't have any plans now, but maybe maybe it would be cool to come up with something. And these 15 years, they have been good. It has been a bit ups and downs, but mostly ups. I mean, all the albums have been received very well, and the band has been growing constantly and everything. So, even if we have had all these lineup changes and everything, and lineup changes are always a pain in the ass, but as long as you keep in mind that the lineup change will hopefully or most likely turn the band to the better, then it's like a good thing. So, but I mean, it has been a good ride for this 15 years, and as it seems now, we will continue at least 15 more.
Yes, now you have something to think about. For this coming year, you can, even create some kind of compilation, from the greatest hits from all these great albums.
Yeah, or at least I know that Agonia, they are going to re-release our 3 first albums, because the label we released them on originally, Cyclone Empire from Germany, they have they have closed their doors. They are not active anymore. So there has been a demand from fans to have these albums. So that's one thing that will happen next year. The re-release of the 3 first albums. So that's cool, yeah.
Martin, Demonical's full lineup consists of Christofer Säterdal, vocalist, Eki Kumpulainen, lead guitarist, Johan Haglund, rhythm guitar, Martin Yu as bassist, Ronnie Bergerståhl, the drummer. What happened to Alexander Hoekboom? Did he left the band Demonical only to concentrate on October Tide?
Yeah, or basically he left the band in order to concentrate on everything else in life besides music. So he decided to leave the band like a year ago, but he said when he informed us that he's going to leave the band, he still promised he said that he will finish all the booked shows and all the tours and everything. Then he will quit the band. And the basic reason was that he wants to spend more time with his family and with other things. Because as you maybe know, he is active. It was not only Demonical and October Tide. He had some other bands, smaller projects and everything, but he was really busy with a lot of bands, and he felt that the inspiration and everything was fading. So he wanted to quit most of the bands, but he stayed, or he said that he will stay in October Tide, because October Tide is the band he has been in for the longest. So that was the basic reason. But of course it was a bit disappointing when he announced that he will leave, because he is a very good vocalist and everything was working fine, and we didn't see it coming. It was quite a surprise to us when announced that he's going to leave. But of course I respect his decision. But now we have a very good replacement in Christofer. So
how did the band decided on Christofer Säterdal as the band's new frontman?
When Alex, he announced his departure, it was last summer, like a year ago, in June or July 2019. We had some shows booked after that, so right away after he decided, or he announced that he is going to leave, we started to look for a replacement. As I said, Alex is a good vocalist, so of course we understood that, we can't take just anybody into the band. It has to be a good one. Being in a band, it's equally important that personalities and the personal issues that they match and work together, as well as the musical aspect. So it's 50% music and 50% personal. The chemistry has to work. I was checking around, just basically checking my contacts and talking to people, asking if they know anyone good, who could be interested. And then I had a couple of names in mind, and then Christofer was actually the only one. I contacted Christofer and talked to him, and he said that he was very interested. And then I met him, we had a meeting and just went out for a few beers and discussed everything, and right there understood that on the personal level this will work out. Then the second thing was the musical level, so to speak. So he made a demo recording of a couple of our old tracks. He put on new vocals on them. But when I heard those tracks, I understood that this will work.
How about the return of the original drummer, Ronnie Bergerståhl? What was it having Ronnie back on board?
It feels great. The thing with Ronnie was that already a couple of years ago, since Ronnie left Demonical back in 2011 or something, we have been in touch, and there hasn't been any bad blood or anything between us. So 2 years ago or something, when I spoke to Ronnie, he said to me that if Demonical needs a new drummer someday, then I should call him. When Ronnie left Demonical, he was also playing the Swedish band Grave. So he was really busy back then, because Grave were touring a lot and everything. And Ronnie lived in Stockholm. So basically the only reason was left Demonical. He didn't have time enough to be in two bands. A couple of years ago, he left Grave and he moved away from Stockholm up to his childhood city up in almost northern part of Sweden. Yes, and now he has a lot more time, and he's a lot more his daily life is not as busy as it used to be. So that's why he told me that if we would need a drummer, then I should call him. And then when Kenneth said that he is going to quit Demonical, also due to different reasons, mostly because he felt that he doesn't have time or he doesn't have inspiration to play Demonical anymore. Then I instantly called and explained the situation to him, and he said that he would, of course, join the band. So Ronnie was basically the one and only drummer I had in mind. So that switch from Kenneth to Ronnie was really fast and easy, and even if the vocalist switch was also easy, but it was still a little bit more complicated than the drummer. So with Ronnie, it's good to have Ronnie on board. I have known Ronnie from, he was in Centinex also, as you know, back in the days. So I have known him for 20 years or something. I know what he's capable of doing and how, everything. So it works really fine.
World domination is a gateway to old and new Demonical. The band's sixth album marks the debut for vocalist Christofer Säterdal, who replaced Alexander Hogbaum October Tide, and the return of original drummer Ronnie Bergerståhl, replacing Kenneth Englund. There are no major changes to the band's proven formula of brutal, melodic, and insolently Swedish death metal. The new album picks where the 2018's Chaos Manifesto left off, with a touch of extra dynamics and vibrancy and enrichment to the band's sound. Talking about this great album, Chaos Manifesto, that was released March 23rd, 2018 via Agonia Record, with great tunes from Nothing, Avoid, Most Obscure, and towards greater gods, to mention some. Yeah, how has the shows been? Tours, festivals, just being on the road in support of this great album, and how was it received among fans and critics?
It was received really well. I don't remember all the reviews and scores, but at least it was on some favorite albums of 2018 lists and everything. So the reactions were really good, and also all the tours and shows and festivals we did in support of it were really good. We got to play some of the bigger festivals in support of the album. And also one thing that maybe should mention is the Brazilian tour we did a year ago, which was also in support of Chaos Manifesto. And that was actually the first tour we did, or the first shows we did together with Christofer. And it was the ultimate test. Because we got this offer to play. Last summer we decided that no shows will be done until the new album is out. But then we got this offer to play 10 shows in Brazil in December last year. And the offer was so good, and we have never played in South America before, so we decided that we want to do that tour. We did one warm-up show in Stockholm a couple of weeks before with Christofer. But that tour was the first, really test for Christofer. Not only from the musical point of view, but also from the personal point of view. I mean, we said that if the chemistry in the band works and everything works fine during 2 weeks in Brazil, then it should always work. We did the Brazilian tour with him and vocals, and everything works fine, and that was the final, that was the nail in the coffin that said that, this Christofer is the right man for being the vocalist in Demonical.
But before we go over to the new album, are you guys satisfied with what the band has accomplished with this album?
With Chaos Manifesto?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. It raised us to some kind of next level, and also you have to keep in mind that Chaos Manifesto was the first real full-length album on Agonia. We signed to Agonia back in 2015, and we released this Black Flesh Redemption 4-track EP in 2015 through Agonia.
Swedish death metal squad Demonical will release the new studio album titled World Domination on October 23rd via Agonia Records. The band have released the first 4 albums via the Germans Cyclone Records, and since the 2015 EP Black Flesh Redemption are working with the Polish Agonia Record. And I like to thank Bartex and you, Martin, for making this interview possible. How was the Cyclone Records era been?
It was really good. I mean, Cyclone was a good label. The best thing with them was that they were from Germany. And the owner of Cyclone, he was a friend of, he knew all the important people in Germany, so to speak. Yeah, he was friends with all these owners of Nuclear Blast and Metal Blade and everything. So he had all these good connections. The label was really good. It was the first label Demonical signed to. We got a really good deal with them, and everything worked fine, basically, for the 3 first albums. Then there were some issues with the label, or to put it more straight, we were a bit disappointed in how they were handling things in terms of distribution and things. So also, the label had some problems with some key persons leaving the label and everything. So after the 4th album, Darkness Unbound, that album, it fell a little bit in between chairs, so to speak. It didn't maybe really get a proper promotion and distribution. So after that album, we decided that we were free to go because we had signed first for 3 albums. Then we did one more with Cyclone Empire. But then after that 4th album, we decided that we had to find some other record label. We got quite many offers and Agonia had the best one. So we went for that.
Okay, talking about Agonia, Martin, how are things going with this record label? I mean, you so far approaching the release of your 3rd effort with them.
Going really fine. I'm really satisfied with how they are promoting and how they are marketing everything. And they are not a huge label, but they are not totally underground either. So they are somewhere in between, but they have a very good distribution. They have good marketing people working for them. And yeah, I think they are like doing a lot for the band, and also that they are like fans of the bands. They are not only like, of course, when you're running a record label, you have to have some kind of business view to it. You have to make money, because otherwise you can't release more albums with bands. They are not only businessmen, they are also fans of the bands and of the music. So I think of course we have some disagreements sometimes and different views on how to handle things, but all in all, things are working really fine with them. So I'm really satisfied.
So talking about the album release October 23rd, Martin, for fans to get to know this album much better, don't you mind to present us some brief description on the album tracking list, please?
The album, it contains all in all 8 tracks, like 40 or 38 minutes or something, I don't know. Basically, the album is a typical Demonical album. It's like a Swedish death metal. But of course there are I think there's a quite good mix between the tracks. I mean, there are those tracks which are like typical Swedish Stockholm style death metal. And then there are those tracks which are a bit different. Yeah, it shouldn't bore you when you listen to it. It's hard for me to like analyze my own music or my own records. I mean, I like the album and I'm really satisfied with how everything turned out. We had a bit different approach or how we recorded the album, tried some new techniques, tried some new studios, tried to keep it a bit more basic and old school when it comes to the production, have a bit more organic, not so like high-tech, overproduced, compressed music. We tried to catch a little bit more of this like late 80s, early 90s spirit in the music. So I think it's a great album. Then there's a few, or at least maybe one small surprise on the album. There is one track which is a bit stand out from the rest of the tracks, and it's also a track in a way that we haven't done before. So it will maybe be a small surprise for some people, but it's still death metal.
Okay, as promotion to the band's new album, the video for the tracks My Kingdom Done was premiered on September 21st. And a next video for the second single for the track Eons of Death on October 5th. Would you like to brief us a little bit on the work done on these videos, Martin?
Yeah, the first video, My Kingdom Done. I mean, usually in the past, we have always like released, or the label has released like a lyric video or something for the first track. But this time we said that we want to release like a real video as the first taster of the new album. The same way bands did back in the 80s, you know, when they were releasing an album, they first released a single with a video. So we wanted to do it that way. It was a Swedish production company we recorded the video in July or something. The video is pretty basic. It's just us playing because we didn't want to come up with some cheesy storyline or anything. We just wanted to present the band and also the music. We chose that track because it represents Demonical in a pretty good way. Because, I mean, of course, when we have a new vocalist and a new drummer, and especially with the vocalist, some people might be curious or interested to know how we sound with the new vocalist. And that's why we wanted to have the first cut from the album. We wanted to have a quite like a traditional Demonical track. So that's why we chose My Kingdom Done. Yeah, and also with the video, we wanted to just like show a basic video with the band playing. So without any fancy effects or any fucking bullshit. So I think it turned out great.
As you were saying about the recording, Word Domination was recorded in June 2020 at Glass Hyrset and Cell Noise Studio by Johan Jansson and Johan Haglund. Production by Demonical itself. Mixing and mastering were handled by the award-winning producer Carl Daniel Linden, who also worked with Bloodbath, Catatonia, etc. at Tri Lamp studio. How was the work done with Johan and Jonas been? And are you guys satisfied with the outcome done by Carl Daniel Linden?
We recorded the music with Johan Hjelm at the Glashuset studio. And Johan is a guy we have worked with before, not only on the Chaos Manifesto album, we also recorded some Centinex albums with him. I know Johan very well, and as we were so satisfied with how the Chaos Manifesto recording went, we worked the same way this time. The only difference this time was that we recorded the vocals at Cell Noise Studios together with Christofer's friend, Jonas. Because they have been working together in the past with some other projects and bands. So Christofer feels really like comfortable being in that studio and working with Jonas. So that's why we recorded the vocals there. And then, the mix and master was done with Carl Daniel Linden, and that's the same guy we worked with on the Chaos Manifesto album. As we were really satisfied how everything turned out on that, we decided that we want to do the work with him again on World Domination. So basically, the whole recording concept and the whole thing for World Domination was basically as we did on Chaos Manifesto, except for the vocal recording, which was done in a different studio. But everything else was the same. But while we recorded the new album a little bit differently. We recorded it more live. We don't have as much guitar overdubs on this new album as on Chaos Manifesto and things like this. So in that aspect, the recording was a little bit different, but we worked with the same people as before.
Okay, Martin, talking about recordings and things, how about the gears you guys are using? What kind of guitars, what kind of bass you are using?
We are using different kinds. I don't know which guitars the guys use, but for the guitar amps we use, on this album we recorded with PAV 5150 and Marshall 900 or 2000. The guitar, of course it's important which amps you have, but the most important thing is still the distortion pedal. The HM2 Boss heavy metal pedal. That's the one which creates the sound. We used that for the guitars, and then the bass I recorded with an Ampeg Classic bass head, Ampeg cabinet. And then for the bass I used was actually an old Carvin from 1988, a 5-string bass from 1988. It's not my standard bass, it's not the one which I used like live or anything, but I have a couple of basses at home, and for some reason, I don't know why, but I decided to use that for the recording, and it was like, sounds good.
Wow, you like the result to work with this old, let me put it this way, machine?
I do. A guitar or a bass, doesn't matter if they are like 20 or 30 or even 40 years. Most old guitars, for example, they sound really good. There are a lot of guitarists who are playing they have some new guitars, but their biggest wish is to find some ancient guitar from the 80s or whatever. So with guitars, it's more that the older it is, the better it is. So for example, for guitar amps, as I said, we used PV 5150, or if it was 6505, I don't even remember. But that's the same amps we use live. They are good for this kind of music. So
talking about something very important now, I must say some killer cover artwork was created for the album. I'm talking about for the first single and also for the album done by Susan Witcher, and band photo were taken by Jens Reigen. Was all this cover artwork done by Susan?
No. Those were done by Mark Riddick, American guy who is doing a lot of artwork. He draws a lot. The album artwork, let's put it this way. The album front cover, that's actually a photo. It's a photo of a statue. Either it's a German statue or a Swedish statue, I'm not sure. But Susan is a friend of mine. She's working as a photographer. I was checking her photos and I saw that photo and I really liked it, and I thought that would be great as an album cover. So the album cover is pretty much as it is. They have only put on, the original photo was a black and white photo. So they have put on some small colors on it. And that was the guy from the label, the layout guy who did it. So that's like the album cover. But then Mark Riddick did some additional artworks for us to be used on merchandise and stuff in the future. So the 2 single covers and also the slip case for the CD, the artwork on all those, it's done by Mark Riddick. And then, Jens Rydén, who is a Swedish photographer who has taken a lot of different band photos, he took the band photos. So basically there were like 3 different people working on all this layout stuff, plus the layout guy on Agonia Records who like put it all together.
Words of Domination. Yes, this Killer's Band 6 full-length album, the Killer one, as I just said, taken off where this Chaos Manifesto left off, but with a fierce of this HM2-driven Swedish death metal, a ravaged combination of brutality, melodic, and darkness. Yes, going to the last part of this interview, Martin, the band have scheduled to head out for a European tour this November with Leak, Nervochaos, and Bleeding Utopia, and the Vomitory joining on November 21st in Germany, if circumstance is permitting, because this COVID. This is not even include a show in Denmark. Are these shows still continuing? And if not, do you already have another date?
No, these shows in November, they are all cancelled. That tour, it would only be like, plan was to do 10 shows or 11 shows, and that have been like a record release, like a release for the new album. And also for Leak, because Leak have just released a new album, so it would have been like a double record release tour. But unfortunately, that tour got cancelled thanks to the fucking situation, and we are now rescheduling everything for February next year instead. But Leak are not able to join that tour, so instead it would be Bleeding Utopia, Nervochaos, and one more band which I can't reveal yet. But yeah, the plan is to have that tour in, like, do 10 or 11 shows, mostly in Germany, like a record release tour in February. But as we all know, we don't know how the situation is, like, in a few months. So we will see if the tour will happen in February. If not, then we just will do it later on. So it's really annoying not to know. I mean, the whole thing with this fucking plague is that we don't know if it's like, I mean, back in when this all appeared, like in March this year, we thought that this would be over in a few months because we had, for example, this whole summer tour, and we said that no, but that should be okay to do it. Then came the summer and we had to cancel the tour. Then we had the November tour. By November, this fucking COVID thing should be over. We still don't know when this is going to be over. So that's like the hardest part. If we would have like an end date that December 31st, this COVID would be over, then we can start the tour again. That would be good. But as the situation is now, no one knows when the whole live circus will appear again. So that's like the hardest part in this.
Yes, that's so bad. We had this great opportunity, Martin, to interview Nicholas Sanden of Leak just a couple weeks ago. We have interviewed also Andreas Flabmoren of Bleeding Utopia. So great bands that I highly recommend the people to check their album out. Okay, to continue with this interview for this coming 2021, Martin, how about shows and tours? Do you already have a couple of them scheduled?
Yeah, we had some festivals for 2020 that has been moved to the summer 2021. Yeah, we had some shows both for the spring and for the summer. But again, no one really knows what will happen in 2021 either. So, but of course, as soon as this whole thing is up and the bands are able to play again and travel again and everything, then we will, of course, play as much as possible. But yeah, it's a bit, as I said, the hardest part is that we don't know when it will be and how long it will take until we will be able to play again. So, but of course, we will try our best to hit the road again whenever possible.
But let's assume that things get back to normal for the first part of 2021. At what show will the fans be able to see you guys live that you know that already confirmed?
If, let's say that things turn back to normal in 2021, then we first have the tour in February and the album release tour, like 10 shows in mostly Germany. Then we have a festival in London, in England, like the last weekend of February. That's a Swedish innovation festival with a lot of like only Swedish death metal bands playing. So that's great. And then we have festivals in Germany in April, I think. And then we have some more in May, June. I don't remember them right now. But I mean, yeah, we have quite a lot of shows coming up. So let's just hope things will be back to normal in 2021.
Okay, to conclude this interview, my last question, the album was released on different platforms as Gateful LP Plus CD, limited edition digipack with patches, dual cases CD with digital album. Yes, how are the album sales, so far for this, I'm talking about this new album going? And how about the merch?
Well, we don't know about the sales yet because the album is not released, but so far I have heard from the label that they have received already a lot of pre-orders and everything. So, and I think some of the vinyl versions are already sold out. Yeah, it's doing actually really good, I think, the album. Of course, as we all know, physical CDs and physical albums, they are not selling as much today as they did back in the good old days. So we are still happy if someone buys the CDs. We are looking forward to the release, and then we'll see what happens.
Martin, how about T-shirts? I see different T-shirts on your different sites.
We are doing our own merchandise we have our own online store and everything. And then, so we print some designs, do our own thing. And then Agonia, they are also printing like T-shirts and hoodies and everything. So selling T-shirts both online and on shows and everything, that's like a good income for the bands and a good way to promote the band. So that's why, and we are like happy to run that ourselves to take care of our own merchandise instead of giving it away to some other company or anything. Everyone who is interested should check out the official Demonical web store. There you can find everything. Yeah, all the CDs and stuff, and then also merchandise.
To end this interview, Martin, I want to thank you very, very much. And I want to hand you over the microphone of Madam Messiah Radio for you to invite all your friends, all your fans to support the band, to buy the band's previous albums, and to buy this great new album, World Domination, released October 23rd via Agonia Records. Martin, it was a great pleasure, to have seen you guys last. That was back in 2018 when you guys did this pre-party for Eindhoven Metal Meeting. So what a great show. I enjoyed so much seeing you guys back live. And, I had this great opportunity to buy the Manifesto album and this great Demonical T-shirt. It was a great show. I want to thank you very much for have given us, the fans, such a great show.
First of all, thank you for the support. Thank you for taking time to interview me. And the Eindhoven Metal Meeting show was also awesome. So thank you.
Okay, Martin, the microphone of Madam Messiah Radio is all yours to thank whoever you wants to thank.
I want to thank all the Demonical fans, both new and old, worldwide, for supporting the band. And I hope that you will all enjoy the new album as much as I do. I want to thank Metal Messiah Radio for the support and for taking time to interview me regarding Demonical and Centinex as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, Martin. Before I leave, I like you to say hello to Christofer for me, say hello to Eki for me, say hello to Johan, and say hello to Robin for me. If you still get to bump into Alexander and Kenneth, say hello to them for me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I will do that.
I wish you all the best with the band. I wish you all the best for this coming New Year 2021. I hope everything gets to normal, that I can see you guys back playing live and to perform these great new tunes. And I wish you all the best with this great new album. I have already got the chance to enjoy My Kingdom Dawn and Eons of that, and I can't wait to hear the whole album, which I'm sure is awesome. It's gonna be another great release for this year. At least this year we got great releases among all the sadness, all the bad things that has been, having a lot of people pass away with this pandemic and everything shut down and festivals and shows shut down. At least we get something now. We get to enjoy the work that you guys doing and enjoying the new albums that you guys are releasing. And that's why thank you very much for doing this, Martin.
Thank you.
Okay, like I always say, metal on. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.